So there is a lot on the line this weekend between four great teams. A rookie quarterback looking to be the first to ever make a Super Bowl as a starter, and the other is looking to be the first one to win 3 in a row. But that won't be easy for either of these quarterbacks, as one of them is going up against one of the greatest running backs of this generation, and the other is going against his rival who's playing at an MVP level. There's so much at stake in both of these games, and in today's video I'm going to break down each of them along with my thoughts on who could win it right after. Alright, let's dive into these two conference championship matchups for this weekend, starting with the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders. These two teams have met twice already this year because obviously they are division rivals. Philly dominated them on the ground back in week 11, which is the first time they played. They ran the ball 40 times for 228 yards and 3 touchdowns as a team, with Saquon, of course, leading the charge. He had 146 of those yards and 2 scores. Philly outgained Washington by nearly 200 yards, and I think the final score was a little closer than how the game actually felt. The Eagles were up 26-10 with 4 minutes left, but Washington did score a garbage time touchdown to make it 26-18. Then about a month ago in week 16, Jalen Hurts ended up leaving that game in the first quarter with a concussion, and Kenny Pickett came in and finished it out. It was actually a really competitive game, with the Commanders scoring a go-ahead touchdown with 6 seconds left to win 36-33. Obviously, it's harder to have any real takeaways from that second meeting with Jalen Hurts being out for 3/4 of that game, but Jaden Daniels still threw 5 touchdowns, and they put up 36 points on the top defense in football. The concerning thing about those two games, if I'm the Commanders, is how easily Saquon Barkley diced them up. He had 150 yards and another 2 touchdowns in their week 16 meeting, which means he's averaged 148 yards and 2 touchdowns in each of these games against the Commanders. The Commanders kind of lucked out last week by getting an early lead on the Lions, which forced them to throw the ball because Detroit was having a ton of success on the ground, averaging almost 9 yards a carry. So yeah, expect Philly to run the ever-loving piss out of the ball on Sunday. Saquon had over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns last week against the Rams, and Jalen Hurts himself had 70 yards and a long touchdown run as well. If they're able to put together some long, sustained drives by pounding the rock, they then can simultaneously wear out Washington's defense and keep Jaden Daniels off the field. I said last week that in order to beat the Lions, Jaden and this offense were going to have to play perfect, and to my pleasant surprise, they did exactly that. And after seeing Jaden Daniels look completely calm and composed despite being on the road for his first ever playoff games, I'm not going to rule anything out from him this week. Philly's secondary just got carved up for over 300 yards by Matt Stafford last week, so they can 100% be had. But I have Stafford as a top 5 quarterback still in the NFL, so that is also a credit to him and how good he is, and especially in the playoffs, December, January, very good quarterback. Well, Jaden will likely need to play darn near that level in his own way, of course, this week, and if he does that and this Commanders defense can force a couple of turnovers, I think they have a shot at winning. Philly and Washington are actually tied for the best turnover differential in the postseason, and that's likely going to be a major factor in who wins this game, as well as the AFC Championship. As for injuries, Commanders guard Sam Cosmi sadly tore his ACL last week against the Lions, so he won't be playing in this one or the Super Bowl if they make it. A tough blow because he's one of, if not the best player along the line, so they'll need everyone to step up in his absence. For the Eagles, both Jalen Hurts and Quinyon Mitchell were out at practice for walkthroughs today, and it appears they will both be playing. However, Jalen Hurts will not be 100% out there. He didn't leave the game when he injured his knee late last week, so it would take a setback at practice to keep him out. Quinyon Mitchell's status will be the one to watch out for because he did leave the game with a shoulder injury, so we'll see how those guys progress as the week goes on. All in all, I think the Eagles win this one once all is said and done. A rookie quarterback has never made it to a Super Bowl as a starter, but maybe Jaden Daniels could go into Philly, very hostile territory, play lights out, and become the first to ever make it. Let me know what you guys think on this one in the comments down below. From here, let's talk a little Chiefs and Buffalo Bills, a highly anticipated AFC Championship matchup. This is the 4th time in 5 years we get to watch Patrick Mahomes go up against Josh Allen. In the regular season, Josh Allen is 4-1 against Mahomes and the Chiefs, but in the playoffs, that is a completely different story. Mahomes is 3-0 in those meetings, including last year's 27-24 victory, the Chiefs winning their first ever road playoff game in the Mahomes era, in the divisional round. The Bills, though, were the only team to beat the Chiefs in a game where they weren't resting their starters this season, winning 30-21 back in Week 11. Josh Allen had over 300 total yards and 2 touchdowns, including a 26-yard run on 4th and 2 that was ultimately the dagger. I felt that to my soul. The Chiefs had no Charles Omenihu, though, no Jalen Watson, no Hollywood Brown, or Harrison Butker, or even Isaiah Pacheco, plus Wanya Morris was still starting at left tackle rather than Joe Thuney. But in fairness, the Bills were without their starting right tackle. Matt Milano was on IR, and both Keon Coleman and Dalton Kincaid were out due to injury. This time around, Matt Milano is back, but he didn't finish out the final series in the Ravens game, and it's because he's reportedly dealing with hamstring soreness. That's something to definitely keep eyes on because those hamstrings can get more aggravated very quick. Then Bills starting corner Christian Benford is questionable to play. He's in the concussion protocol right now. And if that wasn't enough, their other corner, Taron Johnson, is dealing with a shoulder injury. That's probably not going to keep him out of the game, but it will also have him out there less than 100%. Then starting safety Taylor Rapp is day-to-day with a hip injury after needing carted off in the Ravens game. So I'm not sure he plays if I'm going to have to pick any of those guys. He is the one that is most likely not to play, at least to me at this point in time. Either way, Buffalo's secondary is not going to be 100% out there, and that's not ideal for playing Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Their defense did force 3 turnovers against Baltimore last week, which is ultimately what helped win them this game, but the Chiefs are likely not going to make as many mistakes as Baltimore, let's be honest. KC hasn't even had a turnover on offense since the last time these two teams played each other back in Week 11, which was nearly 2 months ago. The Bills' offense has been very good at protecting the ball as well all season long. In fact, they ended the season with the best turnover differential in the league, only having 8 total turnovers on offense in 18 games, which is actually insane. The Chiefs' defense isn't quite their defense from last year, but they have still played at a high level most of the season. They also have Jalen Watson, their cornerback 2, back in the secondary, and in their first meeting, Josh Allen diced up whoever was not Trent McDuffie in the secondary, so having Jalen Watson back is going to be a huge boost for the Chiefs' defense. They are top 10 in both points and yards, but the number I'm looking at here is their red zone stats. They are 6th in red zone touchdown percentage, which is going to be crucial because the Bills are 2nd in the red zone on offense and are nearly impossible to stop once they get down there. James Cook tied for the most rushing touchdowns in the NFL this year with 16, and Josh Allen had 12 himself, so they are definitely a handful when they get down inside the 20. Back in Week 11, the Bills were 3 for 4 in the red zone against KC, but all 3 of those scores were on the ground. Either way, Buffalo is a tough team to stop on offense. They scored the 2nd most points in the NFL and have put up 27 or more in like 11 of their last 13 games. And the only 2 they didn't pull this off was actually against the Patriots twice near the end of the season, but one of those weeks, Week 18, they rested their starters, so that means absolutely nothing to me. Something else to keep eyes on is the fact that Josh Allen was the least sacked quarterback in the NFL by far, and he only took 1 last week against the Ravens, who were 2nd in the league during the regular season. And if that wasn't enough, back in Week 11's matchup, KC brought Allen down 0 times. So hopefully the return of defensive end Charles Omenihu helps the D-line get to Allen at least a couple times in this one. But that's why it's crucial. The Chiefs' offense capitalizes on every stop the defense is able to get. They struggled to move the ball on the ground last week, just 2.3 yards per carry, but the Bills' defense can be had. They allowed 116 rushing yards per game this season. So I would like to see both Pacheco and Kareem Hunt get going in this one. I think Kareem Hunt will get the bulk of the workload, if I'm going to be honest, but you've got to get the run game going a little bit, and that's going to help out the pass game in general. Travis Kelce was in peak playoff form last week, catching a touchdown and going off for 117 yards, which was the most he's had in a game since last year's AFC Championship when he had 1 less, 116 yards. The Bills did hold him to just 2 catches for 8 yards, I believe. It was less than 10 back in November, but playoff Kelce is a different animal entirely. Let's say the Bills' defense is able to stifle Kelce a bit. Their banged-up secondary might have a difficult time against the Chiefs' receivers. Xavier Worthy was coming on strong towards the end of the year. DeAndre Hopkins will catch almost anything thrown his way, even though he was targeted only once last week. And then again, last time these two teams played, Hollywood Brown was still out on IR. He's back now, their main man coverage beater, a true speed guy that you can use at all 3 levels, and he's gonna be a problem for the Bills' defense. Now, if the Chiefs can play a clean game with no turnovers and even force 1 at least on Buffalo, I do like their odds of winning this game. They are at home in Arrowhead, firing on all cylinders, extremely healthy. Only 4 players on their injury report. All were a full go. I think that's the most healthy the Chiefs have been since week 1, the start of this season. Josh Allen and the Bills offense, yes, they are playing at an elite level right now, but ultimately I'm going to have faith and trust in Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the coaching staff there to make plays in the biggest moments like they've done for years now. They've been here before, actually 7 conference championship appearances in a row, so they know what it takes to win, and they are very hungry for that three-peat. On the flip side, though, the Bills don't want to lose a 4th time to Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs and want to make a Super Bowl for the first time in the Josh Allen era. So both teams kind of have a lot riding on this one. And again, with me rolling with KC winning, that's no disrespect to the Bills. But until Josh Allen actually does beat Mahomes in the playoffs, I'm going to have to see it to believe it. Now, while KC has gotten the better of the Bills in the playoffs, look at this. This is actually crazy. It's basically a coin flip when these two teams play. Over the course of 10 games, these two teams have most recently played each other. They both went 5-5 and have averaged 251 points scored and allowed in those 10 games. Basically, this one could really go either way. That stat is absolutely mind-blowing. Scriptwriters going crazy. But what do you guys think? Can the Bills finally beat Mahomes in the playoffs, or will it be another sad ending for Josh Allen? Let me know your thoughts also on the NFC Championship between the Commanders and the Eagles. Can the rookie get it done against a very seasoned Philadelphia defense? Or will Jalen Hurts turn it on if, for some reason, the Commanders are able to stifle Saquon Barkley? Let me know what you think about both of those games in the comments down below, and ultimately, who you think is going to win the Super Bowl, depending on who makes it. And with that, I'll see y'all next time.